This is The Goode Show.
Welcome to this week's episode. My name's Surinder. I am your host, and this is The Goode Show. And listen, we've just got into the first quarter of the year, so most of us, I think, maybe are still, hopefully, following their New Year's resolutions. And as we've all heard Dusty talk about working out, fitness, the other part of fitness that's really important is nutrition. And that's why today I have the expert of the experts.
Wow. Yes.
Yes, she's here in the studio live, Andrea Geraldi. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, of course. Listen, ever since I've met you, you've been known as the woman in the military space that brings families back to the table, back to having meals together, nutritious meals, and just having some kind of normalcy, you know?
As much as we can.
As much as we can, yes.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize, though, that you're certified, you've got quals. When I first met you, I was like, damn, this is just really good Hungarian goulash.
Yeah.
And she seems to know her proteins. But there's so much more to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm coming into my own.
Yes.
Finally, again, I feel like this is this evolution of when your husband retires and then you kind of get back to me. And back to what I studied, what I was passionate about. And I'm in such a great space right now and kind of have gathered everything from all of our travels, his career, and then just experience, maturity. Yeah. And now am so happy to be in this nutrition space. Again.
Have you always been involved in and interested in food from a nutritional perspective?
Yes. So when I was younger, my dad was the cook in the house and always made dinners, nothing elaborate. I mean, it was just spaghetti and meat sauce, but not even like fancy, just like ground meat and like a bottle of ragu. But always having meals at home, concentrating on that. And then at 16, I was really into sports, and I decided I wasn't going to eat red meat anymore because I heard that it wasn't good for you.
Oh, okay.
And so that kind of spiraled into this pseudo-vegetarian. I wasn't really. And then I went to college to be a speech pathologist. Oh. I had a lisp when I was little. It was a funny story. Sorry, but my mom said when I was younger, I had too many activities. And she said, you're going to have to give up one thing. And I said, speech therapy? She's like, we're not giving that one up.
Wow, I would never have known. So
But then I actually, once I got to college and I was playing field hockey at college as well, I got more interested in nutrition, and then I switched into dietetics and nutritional sciences. So my degree, I went for, it's basically a pre-med degree. So I went a science degree when I said I'd never do sciences. Yeah. And then from there,
Let's jump right into, excuse the pun, meat and potatoes of this, though, because nutrition is such a faddy thing, I find. Like you just use the word trend, but I think we all know what nutrition is.
Do we? So nutrition by definition, in a science sense, is the prevention of disease and how do you live your life longer without developing metabolic syndrome, so to speak. So it's how do you live a healthy life longer and feeling better. Yeah. So it's really how do you eat to sustain a good life, I'm 52 now. That definition is very different than it was when I was 42 and 32.
Yes.
And so usually until something happens to someone, those changes aren't made. So whether it's time or a disability or a diagnosis or so many different facets can come into this. That's when people start really caring about
what they're eating.
Yeah.
No, I've worked out with people as well where they don't want to work out, but the doctor has now said that you need to lose some weight. And there's so much confusion. Like today, I would love it if you could just dumb down some stuff about... Because there has to be something, Andrea, that every human body needs, right? Regardless, and I think there's a lot to how you put it into your system as well. My mom always used to say that it's how we put it into our system is how humans fail, because we will overcook it, burn it, fry it, not be respectful to the meat. We were meat eaters. And that's where the problem occurs. So if you can dumb down nutrition for us today, which I know it's a big thing, but what are some of the things that everybody has to have?
Oh, well, you've got your macronutrients and your micronutrients, and people are very into counting their macronutrients. And your 3 macronutrients are your protein, your lipids or your fats, and your carbohydrates. Okay. And then you've got your micronutrients, and that comes into the form of vitamins, minerals, waters, and net water. And then it's not definitely in there, but fiber. Fiber is something that needs to be kind of thrown in there. And as long as you're hitting the recommended daily allowances of those, that's what we're looking for. But every body is different, every person is different, and every needs are different. So a bodybuilder and a high school athlete actually have 2 completely different needs based on the activity they're doing. A sedentary woman and a sedentary man will have a different needs as well. So it really is so specific. But as cliche as it is, Michael Pollan came out with this years ago, and it's like, eat food, not too much, mostly plants.
Yeah.
And I think that's as easy as I can put it, but I can elaborate on that as well. I mean,
But now you mentioned plants, and you had said earlier on that as you were going through high school that somebody had heard red meat was, not good.
Red meat wasn't good for you. This was the 80s.
Okay.
Yes. Late 80s, early 90s. That's when like pork, the other white meat came in. Yep. And there was all these studies, and you heard about the bad effects of red meat. I didn't really understand it then.
Now, is red meat bad for you? And when I ask you, is red meat bad for you? Is there like a study that goes, okay, listen, here's a study, we took 100 people, or is it a case of, in your professional opinion, for what works for your body, that it functions better without red meat?
Okay, so I don't believe that there's a good for you or bad for you food.
Okay.
I feel like everything should be consumed. It's about balance.
Okay.
And so would I choose to eat red meat every day? Absolutely not. Would I choose to eat it once a week? Maybe. I'd like to aim for once every 2 weeks. Okay. It's not that red meat, there's a lot of beneficial components to red meat, and people are very into counting protein right now. And yes, bang for your buck, it's there. However, the studies have shown and been linked to the saturated fat in red meat can contribute to a lot of metabolic disorders, including high cholesterol, heart disease, amongst many other things.
So you mentioned the macronutrients, the protein, carbohydrates, and then you mentioned something else I already forgot. Fats. Okay. So carbs. Carbs are always a big thing, and there's a lot of confusion about them. I think we had a conversation here the other day about pasta, didn't we, Kim and Brian? And Brian, you said you were going to have chickpea pasta or something like that. Yes.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of confusion about carbs. Can you break that down for us and give us something? Hey, this is the deal with carbs.
Absolutely. I think carbs have gotten a bad rap, and people say they're gluten-free or they don't eat carbs. But I think it's understanding the quality of the carbohydrate. Our body's primal sense of energy is a carbohydrate in the form of any type of glucose that comes into our body. And there's different ways that it's processed, and I won't get into that. The simple carbohydrates, like the refined white foods, they've taken like white rice, white flour, bread, bleached flour, whatever. They've taken the actual bran and germus, they've taken everything off of it, off of the grain, basically, to preserve it. So white foods last longer.
Okay.
And so what they've done is taken a lot of the nutrients out of it, the good fats and the good vitamins. And so what we do is put it back in. We enrich them. We put the B vitamins back in so that we can still get the benefits of them. But then it lacks the fiber, the fat, the whole package.
Yeah.
And they stick with the whole grains stick with you longer. And so those should not be taken away at all. And so in the grain world, half of your grains should be whole grains. And then, I mean, I'll be honest, if you like chickpea pasta, great. I like regular pasta. And so I'm going to choose to use my white food as that.
Yeah.
And then I'll have a whole grain piece of bread.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other confusing thing because they try to trick you in that too. But those are the grains. But then carbohydrates come in the form of fruits and vegetables too.
Okay.
Because
I don't think people realize that. I think when people think about carbs, I think they think about the bad carbs, the pasta. With pasta is always the number one
it's
carb.
Not bad. It's not bad. It's just a balance. It's just a balance of how you're eating it or when you're eating it and what priorities you're getting out of it. You're not getting fiber or much fiber out of the refined grains. And fiber right now is huge. We're not getting enough. We're finding that is causing a lot of problems. And the gut microbiome has been studied and is being studied so much more than it ever has, and the link to the brain and your overall health and your immunity, it's just fascinating. And so refined products like that, or flour products, aren't contributing to a healthy gut microbiome.
No, and it doesn't make any sense to me now that I've heard it from you that you've got this grain, this whole grain, and what you're going to do with this whole natural grain is you're going to strip it, and then you're going to enrich it, and then you're going to make it into something or whatever.
Well, you're going to be able to keep it in your pantry for 2 years.
Yeah, okay. Well, there you go. I think that...
And it did start in the wartime. So this did make sense once upon a time.
Yeah.
But now we are not a society that goes grocery shopping every day.
Yeah.
We're not a society. We want to plan. We want to stock. We want to go to... And there's nothing wrong with this. It's just kind of where we've evolved. And people tend to not be as into cooking fresh foods now.
Yes.
And it's more about kind of hunkering down, having 2 freezers, storing everything just in case or just convenience.
We never grew up with a freezer, and I will say to this day, growing up in the culture that I grew up in, I can hear that noise. They're not good. Off camera, they are not good carbs. But in the culture that I grew up in, we never had a freezer. My mother went to the market every day to get veggies. She cooked every day. And when we did get a freezer, the only thing that went into the freezer was food she cooked. And that is still in my house. My husband doesn't understand, why can't we buy Marie Callender's chicken pot pie? I'm like,
we can.
I'm like, no, dude, we don't do that. But I think going back to your point, it's people convenience. And I do think people are genuinely confused. I mean, I listened to the news this morning before I left the house about children in the United States and their diets. And it turned out that the study that they did, when they looked at the plate, because I don't think the government thing has ever been right, but when you look at the plate, at the top of the plate, over 70% of children in the United States, their biggest macronutrient is carb. Very, very little protein. And the protein that they are consuming is questionable. So I think to myself, oh my gosh, we're eating ourselves into bad health.
Sure.
And we're starting it from an early age.
Yes.
So we covered carbs.
Yeah.
Carbs aren't bad for you,
no,
like you said.
Absolutely essential.
Okay. And then there was carbs, fats. Let's talk about fats. What are good fats?
Good fats, olive oil, avocado oil has become a really popular one because of a high smoke point, meaning you can fry in it. No, nuts, depending on I shouldn't say, we use butter. I have a dairy allergy, so I have to use a vegan butter. But when I cook with, for just a certain dish for certain kids, I use regular butter. I'm not against it. It's animal oil that comes from animal or basically butter is high in fat, high in saturated fat, and we know that it contributes to atherosclerosis and heart disease. There's no question about it, and high cholesterol. And so whether that contributes to early death or not, that's genetics and all that stuff. But to prevent it, you should be, having olive oil and avocado oil. Having said that, it's not like you need a ton.
Yeah.
And then we talk about nuts, like they have good fats in them. Avocados have good fats. Fatty fish has good fats in it. But it's also, fats are 9 grams per calorie. It's carbohydrates and, I'm going to get too sciencey. I'm not going to do this. So you're going to get more calories out of fats than you are carbohydrates and protein.
Let me ask you about animal fat then. Like if you go grab a steak, and I've always had just like lean meat.
Yeah.
And I remember that after the steak was cooked, I cut off all the fat. Right. And a friend of mine turned around to me and went, "No, that's good fat." Is that good fat?
That's what we're learning right now, is that they are trying to push this. All of the science proves to no.
All the science points to no.
No.
Stewie, you were wrong, dude. Okay, because it didn't feel good, gristly in my mouth anyway. I didn't like that. Yeah.
People are going to say this is way our, the paleo, and like this is the way we see average age was 36 years of life.
Yeah.
And there's other reasons we live longer now, but no, saturated fat does not help the heart.
Yeah. So proteins, good proteins. I mean, the most obvious one is chicken, and sometimes I question that these days because I feel it's been manipulated on the farm, so I don't really know, is it still a good source of protein? I mean, kind of like...
Sure. Well, I mean, steak is still a good source of protein.
Yeah.
Chicken's a great source of protein. They're all good sources of protein. Is chicken a leaner meat with less fat? Yes. Yeah. And so the animal-based fats are the ones that give you the cholesterol. Okay. So plant-based fats do not give you cholesterol. And so choosing it's kind of like the same as carbohydrates, like choosing your protein, half of it should be from animal fats and half of it should be from plants. And when I say that, people are like, what? Like, I don't want to eat just broccoli. And, first of all, you do get protein from vegetables and fruits and proteins and everything. But there's also other sources. There's nuts, there's beans, there's seeds. Like there's so many different ways to add protein into your diet, which is a whole other conversation because America is not protein deficient at all.
See, I want to do another episode with you about that because, again, after I watched the news this morning and they spoke about protein and the quality of it and kids and just what we're doing to ourselves, I do believe that a lot of the issue sometimes is that we don't know. Right. Like when I think of protein, I do think of just steak, chicken. I don't think about the nuts and the other sources of protein that are available, know.
Yogurt, dairy. I mean, protein's in virtually everything. In your bread too. Yeah. And you're going to get it in whole grains. Yeah. I think people will say, well, it's not a complete protein, which means that I have nine essential amino acids in it. But we don't need to do that anymore. Our body's fascinating. Our body's like, there are complementary proteins, rice and beans that are vegetarian based. However, your body is going to take whatever amino acids it needs throughout the day.
Okay, I'm going to ask you this question because I know spouses, women my age, this is like their big question, right?
Yes. So now we're talking age specific.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Going through the menopause, I'm 56. I realized the menopause just really plays havoc with your body. If somebody was to come to you and say, Andrea, okay, I'm 56 and I'm a couple of pounds overweight and I really need to, maybe drop 5-10 pounds, what should I be eating? What would you tell them?
I've never really gotten into nutrition counseling in this sense because my initial response is, how's that going to change your life? Are you willing to make these changes? Are you willing to take away a lot of stuff or make all these modifications? Are you willing to have one less glass of wine? Yeah. Are you willing to not eat the chocolate? Are you willing to do certain things that make you happy? Like sitting down to a bowl of pasta, because there's a lot to be said for the mind as well.
Yes.
And so is this worth all of this just to be thinner? Or is it about body acceptance at this point? Having said that, I don't want to go down that road either. So what I would say is fiber is huge. It is key. We need to hit our 25 grams a day as women. And then that fills us up more. Yeah. And then it is a matter of eating less, the smaller portions. Our carbohydrates really do need to come from more vegetable, plant-based. And then the whole grains are in there, but not quite as much as we would have before. And then what else?
Okay, let me ask you this question.
We're not
Fasting.
adaptive.
We're going through different tangents here because it's all come to my head now.
Yeah,
Fasting.
No, go for it. Yeah. Intermittent fasting.
Yes. Now,
Yeah.
my husband has been intermittent fasting. I think, I don't know, from 7 o'clock at night to, 12 o'clock the next day. To me, that's insane.
Okay.
Because I wake up at 0400 and I am immediately starving. My stomach is rumbling.
Yeah.
And I can only put that down to the fact that maybe I'm not eating enough the night before or the day before, But the fasting, he is adamant that it's the way to go.
Okay.
My mother fasted 1 day a week, but I think that was more for cultural reasons.
Okay.
But a belief in kind of like giving the body a break. What are your thoughts about fasting?
Your body's kind of amazing. It actually takes care of itself. It detoxes itself. That's what your liver and kidneys are for. They get rid of the waste and your colon. So breakfast, by definition, is breaking the fast.
Uh-huh.
So when you break the fast is up to you.
Yes.
And so if you are hungry, eat.
Yeah.
So intermittent fasting has worked well for people who are in metabolic disorders, and that's diabetes, heart disease, like all the basically diet related diseases. Not all of them are diet related, but for the most part, by cutting down on that, by cutting down the eating time, people are losing weight.
Okay.
Just by sheer decrease in calories, and so they're getting off medications, which is huge. That's great. So I totally support doctors saying intermittent fasting works for you. For everybody else, it if it makes you feel great.
Yeah.
But what are you eating from 12 to 7?
Yes. Yeah.
So, like, that's the whole other thing when we talk about, like, increasing your meat and all this stuff. What are you not eating because you're filling up on those things? Yeah. So from 12 to 7, are you having bacon and eggs? And, are you choosing to have cheeseburgers? Are you getting in all of your fiber needs? Are you getting in all your micronutrient needs? Like, what are you really, what's your end game?
Okay, I'm going to check out and see what he's been eating because he's on this crazy thing about, got to have sardines. Got to have so many sardines a day. Got to have so much of this a day. I'm just like, okay.
Omega-3s. Those are good fats.
Okay. Well,
but this is a popular trend right now. It's not a bad one. This was not a bad one. But I'm curious. Oops, sorry. I keep hitting the microphone. I'm putting my hands down here because I talk with my hands so much.
That's okay. I talk with my hands when I'm talking to my husband.
I know.
No, okay, so the fasting thing, I'm going to see how well he goes.
What are you missing by those hours? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because sometimes I'm not hungry. I drink coffee, and sometimes I don't eat breakfast. Before I came here, I made sure to eat something because I have a busy day. But you have to plan ahead. But it's like I knew that I probably won't eat till later this afternoon, so I made sure I had oats, and my morning thing is oats when I can with some flax meal, some chia seeds, some chia. Did I just say chia?
You said chia.
Hemp. And some hemp seeds.
Yes.
And then I do like a little bit of yogurt for some probiotics, and then some berries. And then
you sound like my kid. My kid eats really healthy like that with the overnight oats.
This is a great. I got a lot of fiber already for the day. I've got some berries, which are so good for you. And I don't know. I just feel like I'm setting myself up for success.
Yeah.
So later when someone's like, hey, do you want to go to happy hour? And, there's chicken tenders and I'm having a beer. I'm like, yeah, like I'm good.
You know what I love? I love the fact that you're very normal about this. You have a beer. Maybe you'll have a chicken tender.
Maybe I'll have 2 beers.
Yeah, maybe you'll have 2 beers. You might be like Surinder. We could be going for 6 beers. Maybe. But I like the fact that it's not it's not like you're everything, like you're faultless in it. Do you know what I mean?
But I do contribute that to like, I have a science background, so I know what happens to the body. So in the state of California, and actually just on the internet in general right now, and in the social media world, anybody can call themselves a nutritionist.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so you don't have to have, you can say you have like your coaching or your licensure, all of this stuff, but it comes from an online program, or you can just say it actually.
Yeah.
And 9 out of 10 people that are doing these health trends are doctors. Look what they do. They're either chiropractor or pharmacists, because real MDs aren't going on the internet telling people. Yeah. There are some trying to debunk stuff, and there are some that are making a mint off of this. Don't get me wrong. The supplement industry is nuts. But it's interesting who's disseminating this information.
All right, listen, I've got one last question for you here because you keep bringing this word up several times.
Oh, no.
Fiber.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Obviously, it's important. And fiber is, as a result of fiber, you go poo.
Exactly.
So now I got to tell you quickly, my sister said to me, who's been in the medical profession for 50 years, as I got older, I remember I said to her one day, I said, hey, I haven't been to do a dump today. And she went, oh, Surinder, you know, the older you get, you want to make sure that you defecate on a regular basis because that's what old people, how they monitor their body. Yeah, that's what how they monitor their system. My system's good because I've defecated, you know.
Yeah.
So is that the only reason we want to make, no, so
it's
fiber.
Not. So it's our, for me, nutrition is the 3 M's, the mind, the meal, and the movement. Not the bowel movement, but that's kind of part of it. And so without those 3 things, how can you be healthy? Because you can be just someone who, quote unquote, does all the right things health-wise. You can be a marathon runner and then die from a heart attack the next day. Yeah. But we don't know what's going on in the mind.
Yeah.
The cool thing about fiber is that it is helping our gut microbiome. It is making all these happy organisms, bacteria in there, eat up all of the quote-unquote chicken tenders and beer when you have them, and the red meat. Red meat's not contributing to your gut microbiome, and there's nothing wrong with that, but we want to make sure our gut microbiome is super healthy to process it all.
Yeah.
And so when you have a healthy gut microbiome, it affects your mind as well. And so having those two connected has been, the studies right now going on it are fascinating. So making sure... And fiber, the fiber comes from legumes, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds.
Okay.
There's you can find minute amounts in other foods and, that are, but for the most part, you're looking at those for that.
I want everybody to know my fiber intake is good.
Good.
Okay. Listen, I want to have you back on another episode because I find this so incredibly interesting because there's so many different facets to it, and there's so many opinions out there, about nutrition. So, Andrea, listen, it has been good to have you on the show today. Oh, how are people going to get in touch with you? If people want to get in touch with you, reach out to you, how can they reach out to you?
The bat phone?
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, how do you reach out to me? I guess email's best. I'm not active on social media much.
But hey, listen, you guys can get in touch with me.
Okay.
And I'll forward everything to Andrea for you, and then you guys can,
good.
because I'm sure everybody's, especially spouses, have got a couple of questions beginning of the year of, because on Google we can get totally overwhelmed.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I don't do much, and then someone asked me, I sent a picture this morning to my daughter what lunch was. She wants to, come home for lunch. She's a senior in high school, and we live a couple blocks from the school. And I said, here's your beans and tuna, and I made it before I left. And here I got some sourdough bread, and, you can toast that. And then I took a quick picture, and she said, oh, that's so aesthetic. And I was like, maybe I should post more. Maybe I should. Because people always want to know what we're eating.
That's it. Yes.
And it's like, it's not always perfect because she's probably going to grab cookies after that, which is normal eating.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so it's my handle's back at the table.
Back at the table. Andrea, thank you so much for coming in. I'm going to leave here and go and have a big old steak now and not feel guilty about it. My name's Surinder. This has been The Goode Show, and this has been Andrea. We're out.
Thanks for tuning in to The Goode Show. If you loved what you heard, follow me on Instagram @The Goode Show.